Hello everyone. How are you? It's Amanda here, and I wanted to do just a little impromptu live with you this morning. Thought I would share some of my tips and trips. Let's rephrase that. Tips and tricks for meal planning. And I have a lot of things going on here. So we are hosting my son's first communion celebration here at our house tomorrow afternoon. So I am cooking for about 35 people, and it's going to be a really great celebration. So I've been planning for this for several weeks. I've been working ahead. I've been freezing what I can, doing things in stages so I don't feel so overwhelmed today, the day before the big event. So I want to share with you some of the things that I have put in place into my meal planning and preparation process that has really helped me be less stressed, stay consistent with meal planning, and then getting the nutrition that I need and then also that my family needs as well. And that's what it's all about. We talk about ways to maintain consistency over the course of time, and that's where it's at. It's not what we do at one meal or one day. It's what we do consistently that is going to make the biggest impact to our goals. So let's kind of look and see what I've got going on here. I've got 2 hamburger patties. All right, so I've decided that I'm gonna take some of the leftover meat, and it is Operation Cabbage Roll today. I did some of this prep last night, and then I'm doing the rest of the prep today, and then I have a huge roaster, and I will cook off the cabbage rolls tomorrow morning while we were at church, and it'll be safe to sit on my counter and cook it all off at one time, so I don't have to worry about the cabbage rolls being done, and then they will be done by the time of the party. Now, cabbage rolls are typically really labor intensive, right? If anybody knows how to make them, or if they've served them in the past for an event, you know, you have a lot of steps to cabbage rolls. It's kind of like lasagna. You know, you have to get the meat ready, you have to get the cabbage ready, you have to assemble everything, you have to roll it, you have to cook it, and then of course serving it, and it all pays off. But I'm not Slovak, my husband is, and this is a typical Slovak meal. In Slovak this is called halupki, and this is something that my mother-in-law really enjoys. She cannot make cabbage rolls anymore for herself. She does not cook. It's not safe for her to cook in home, and she really just can't cook anymore. So she doesn't get traditional Slovak food unless I make it for her. So we have all of my husband's family coming, and including people that are coming from out of town. So I wanted to just do this one meal because, you know, everyone will really enjoy it. And it's a lot about family tradition, right? So food is about traditions. It's about making and creating memories that will last a lifetime. And a lot of what we do is all about food and the meals that we remember as kids. So I thought that this was an important piece to the celebration. And you know, normally what I do when I make cabbage rolls at home, I make them a little bit healthier version. I either use wild rice, or a mix of wild rice and brown rice, or I use quinoa. And I have been known to use tri-colored quinoa, or just white or red. Each one of those has a different nutrition profile that it brings to the table. So it's fun to experiment with different grains and things like this. As a matter of fact, if you go to my website at nutrientrichlife.org and you click under recipes, you will find my recipe for my stuffed peppers. And that is the exact recipe that I'm using to stuff the cabbage. Okay, except in this case, my mother-in-law requested that I use white rice. So to make everyone happy, and again, for this special occasion, I did use white rice for this. So here's what I'm doing. I have Operation Big Bowl cabbage contents, and then of course I have all of my cabbage here, and I'm still boiling more cabbage, and I'm hoping to get about 50 rolls all together. But because I'm doing this, so yesterday I was sauteing the onions, and if you didn't see my post on my main page, I did have a little boomerang, a fun little boomerang on there about meal prepping and sauteing onions. I don't want to combine hot items with cool items, because that puts us at risk for foodborne illness, especially if it's going into the refrigerator. So if I were cooking these off and doing all the prep in one day, wouldn't be an issue, but because I'm doing them in stages, I want to make sure everything is the same temperature when I'm assembling. Okay, so I have all my contents. I had some leftover ground meat, and I know that my son would really probably like to have hamburgers tonight for dinner, so I did make some extra hamburger patties. And typically what I do when I do this is I buy extra meat, and I'll make about 4 or 5 extra patties. I will put them in a glass Pyrex container and stick them right into the freezer, label them and date them, of course, so that way in the week to come, I have hamburger patties ready for dinner, and nobody wants to worry about a ton of meal prep, making homemade hamburger patties during the week. I know I don't. So I just pull those right out of the freezer, and then we have hamburgers, and I'll make a salad and, you know, whatever we have with that. Back to the onions. So when I made the onions yesterday, I actually made extra sauteed onions and put them in a separate container, because tonight I'm going to prep my famous egg bake. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have a house full of people here, and everyone's going to be running around. Everyone's going to be hungry, trying to get breakfast in, because we need to be to the church at 9:30 in the morning. So I want to make breakfast easy peasy. So I have already prepped all of the vegetables and everything that's going into my egg bake, including those sauteed onions. So I don't have to saute them, because they were already part of the onions that I sauteed for the cabbage rolls. So I just took a portion out, put it in a separate container, and again, that's done and going to a different dish. Okay, now I've also made extra cabbage rolls, or my goal is when I'm done, I will have extra, right? And I'm going to be putting them in a separate container. I'm going to be wrapping them tightly, labeling and dating them, and sticking in my freezer for the next probably couple Sundays. So my husband does like cabbage rolls. Again, he grew up eating cabbage rolls, and they were a very popular meal in his house. So I know that they're labor intensive. I don't want to make them all the time. If I can make them ahead of time, I'm making them for this event, why just not make a few extra, right? So I will put them in a Pyrex dish, and I will put them in my reach-in freezer downstairs. And then in several weeks on a Sunday, when we want a nice home-cooked meal, I'll pull out the cabbage rolls, bada bing, bada boom, there you go, I have dinner made, okay? So the key to meal prep is making sure that you're always thinking ahead. You can always prepare 1 or 2 or 3 little extra things, and when you're doing something big like this, that way you are messing the kitchen once, you are getting out all the utensils and your chopping utensils and your cutting boards, and all of your contents all over the counter one time. You're cleaning up one time. You're minimizing the amount of work that you have to do at one time. It's all about taking that anxiety away from cooking and making it more enjoyable for you. So I hope that you have found this impromptu live very useful, and I'm gonna get back to work because I have a lot to do before tomorrow. And thanks for joining live, and I will see you guys soon. Have a great weekend.